Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kimberly Breier, Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs at the United States Department of State.
Good morning. Good morning. Buenos días. Buenos días. Ya es temprano, pero tenemos que empezar. I will be speaking in English, and I'm so pleased to be with you today. And I'm so impressed at how many business, political, and society leaders from the hemisphere are here at this important gathering. I want to applaud Matt Swift and the team from Concordia for their success in creating this important regional forum. It is quite a humbling honor to be the warm-up act and speaking before Colombian President Duque. I've met with him several times, including just now this morning, where we had another great conversation about his leadership in Colombia and how courageous it has been. Today is the third time I've been in Colombia in the last 6 months. This is more than a travel itinerary. It demonstrates the importance that the Trump administration places on this bilateral relationship. On these repeated visits, the United States has expanded cooperation on trade, innovation, security, counter-narcotics, human rights, and democracy in Colombia, while working to reduce coca production and dismantle transnational criminal organizations. Colombia is a model for the region today. It is a strong democracy, an economic powerhouse. It trains other countries' police and military forces, and is a key leader in the Pacific Alliance and the Lima Group. More recently, Colombia and Chile helped to launch a new regional integration forum called ProSur to advance transparency and regional prosperity. These efforts have all occurred with Colombia bearing the brunt of a horrific humanitarian crisis caused by the former Maduro regime in Venezuela, and while Colombia works to pursue a sustainable peace following its war with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. Amidst these crises that we face, and I do not want to underestimate the seriousness of the tragedy in Venezuela, it is also a moment of opportunity for the Western Hemisphere. This region is a strategic priority for the United States, and we believe the Americas have an incredible opportunity now to cement a future of democracy and prosperity. For our part, this involves deeper U.S. engagement, greater U.S. business investment, and stronger people-to-people ties. The level of like-mindedness by our regional partners and a sense of digging in together to take a new approach to deal with challenges is remarkable. In no other part of the world do we conduct diplomacy and build commercial relationships where the interests of our partners relate so directly to our own. Throughout the hemisphere, there is significant movement bringing our countries closer to lasting freedom and democracy. Governments are making difficult but important decisions to build sustainable prosperity. Brazil has taken bold steps to reform its pension system and loosen restrictions on business to drive growth. Colombia has seen more modernized, world-class businesses. Chilean leaders have embraced competition and a market economy, reducing poverty from 36% in the year 2000 to less than 9% today. Ecuador has taken steps to remove problematic restrictions on press freedoms. Peru is combating corruption following the Lima Commitment signed at the 2018 Summit of the Americas. The Caribbean has also turned a new page, in particular, the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, and St. Lucia, to tackle tough issues and support democracy in Venezuela. This is how prosperity flourishes and how democracies thrive. Voters opting for bolder visions and countries taking action to address challenges. The United States recognizes these new opportunities and is deepening our engagement in the Western Hemisphere. Trade is a priority. The United States remains the top trading partner for over 2/3 of the hemisphere's countries and has invested over $1 trillion in this region. 12 of the 20 countries worldwide with which we have free trade agreements are in this region. When enacted, the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement will improve standards for all of our workers, farmers, ranchers, and businesses, and result in more robust economic growth. Another initiative that I am excited about is the U.S. Build Act, which will modernize U.S. development finance capabilities, providing up to $60 billion in development finance globally under the new Development Finance Corporation. We will use this new tool to advance priorities in the Western Hemisphere and encourage more widespread U.S. business investment in this region. I was just in Buenos Aires and was fortunate to participate in the signing ceremony for the first OPIC deal in Argentina in 15 years. This reflects the U.S. commitment to Argentina's path and our confidence in its future. The United States is also building efficient energy markets in the region through América Crece, an initiative that aims to catalyze private capital to lead energy and infrastructure growth. We also recognize when education lags, economies will not prosper and democracies cannot thrive. That's why the United States is prioritizing people-to-people relationships through our 100,000 Strong in the Americas and the Young Leaders in the Americas initiatives to help citizens create prosperity and innovation in their own homes and communities. We are also pursuing several initiatives close to my heart to further empower women in Latin America, including our 2X Americas initiative and the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative. This is the vision in the hemisphere we believe in and are partnering with our neighbors to build, one in which governments uphold the rule of law and are accountable to citizens. They invest in their people rather than line their pockets, and they enable transparent, market-oriented policies and private sector-led investment. We have huge opportunities to achieve these goals with the waves of democratization and anti-corruption movements we've seen sweep nearly every country in this region. We all know and recognize a quote from the Inter-American Democratic Charter. Quote, "The people of the Americas have a right to democracy, and their governments have the obligation to promote and defend it." The United States is working closely with our partners to bring those words to life in all corners of our hemisphere. But there are clear outliers. The people of Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua all continue to suffer from the oppressive behavior of authoritarian regimes. In Venezuela, the Maduro dictatorship has destroyed a country and created a devastating humanitarian, political, and economic crisis. This isolated former regime clings to power, its weakness on display and increasing by the day. It cannot solve its problems legitimately, so it imprisons its opponents. Trying to silence the voices of freedom is a strategy that never prevails. According to Foro Penal, there are now 780 political prisoners in Venezuela. 1 month of food for an average family costs more than 100 times the monthly minimum wage. Almost 90% of Venezuelan hospitals lack basic medicines. Hospitals cannot operate critical electronic devices during chronic nationwide blackouts, and deaths have resulted. More than 3.7 million Venezuelans have fled Venezuela since 2015, and these numbers increase daily. These are devastating statistics by any measure. And it's why the international community must come together to end the suffering of the Venezuelan people. 54 countries support interim President Juan Guaido and the democratically elected National Assembly's efforts to reclaim their democracy. The United States is keeping pressure on the regime by sanctioning over 150 individuals and entities in Venezuela, and we've provided more than $260 million to support regional humanitarian response. Just in Colombia, the United States has given about $130 million to respond to the influx of Venezuelans since 2017. I have seen the efforts of regional governments up close during my 2 visits to Colombia. To Cucuta, I have seen firsthand the human tragedy unfolding and also the incredible generosity of the Colombian people. The Lima Group countries have shown the world an incredible example of what is possible when we partner together. We are seeing a new trend in the region, with Lima Group countries augmenting efforts at the Organization of American States and the Inter-American Development Bank, coupled with PROSUR's signal of pragmatism and results-oriented leadership. This new regional leadership is a fundamental shift for this region and will be one of the defining issues of our time for the history books. In contrast to this new reality of leadership in the region, we are seeing a clash of old ideas. In Cuba, the regime has not fundamentally changed, and it continues to aid and abet the Maduro regime in Venezuela. This is unacceptable to the United States and to the region. The US administration has been unwavering in our focus to promote freedom in this hemisphere. We seek a stable, prosperous, and free country for the Cuban people. We will not turn a blind eye to the ongoing and systemic human rights abuses and repression by the communist Cuban regime against its people or tolerate Cuba's indefensible support for Maduro in Venezuela. We are taking action. The State Department's historic decision on Title III of the Libertad Act recognizes the reality of Cuba today, which is no closer to transitioning to democracy and freedom than it was 20 years ago. We have also continued adding entities to the Cuba restricted list to strip the regime of support to its security services and have increased efforts to assist democratic actors, small businesses, and internet connectivity on the island. Old ideas also manifest in the Ortega's authoritarian regime and dismantling of democracy in Nicaragua. The ultimate resolution to the crisis lies with the Nicaraguan people, and the United States strongly supports their efforts to achieve early, free, and fair elections and a return to true democracy. To that end, we have sanctioned Nicaraguan government officials for human rights abuses, undermining democracy, or corruption, as well as sanctioning ventures between Nicaragua's state-owned oil company, Petronic, and PDVSA, and Bancorp. We have revoked visas of people involved in repressing peaceful protests. We urge our neighbors to exert similar pressure to urge a return to democracy in Nicaragua. Amidst the clash of old ideas and new regional leadership, I believe China is the big strategic question for our hemisphere. The US administration has taken a close look at China's engagement in the Americas and has given it significant focus. China is and will remain a significant trade and investment partner for the United States and for many countries in this region. We welcome fair competition with China, but Chinese companies must operate on a level playing field in ways where they play by the rules and respect environmental and labor standards. Far too often, China has departed from international best practices, and when it does, its opaque methods have enabled corruption and eroded good governance. The region is now recognizing the way that China operates and that it is not compatible with our democratic goals. In the Western Hemisphere, all countries expect and should demand that infrastructure development projects feature a transparent procurement process, uphold environmental and social safeguards, and foster inclusive growth in line with standards of international financial institutions. We all have much at stake in getting this right. An investment in the region by China or other countries will have a generational impact on our citizens. Let me conclude by underscoring my confidence in this new era in the Americas. Governments are rooting out corruption and developing dynamic economic systems. Partners are stepping up to support democratic norms. New regional leadership with the Lima Group and PROSUR, fascinating changes in Mercosur, greater interconnectivity with the Pacific Alliance offer significant opportunities for us all. As Secretary Pompeo highlighted in his speech in Santiago, the Americas have an incredible opportunity, the chance to truly cement a future of democracy and prosperity for all of the people of this hemisphere. It is not an impossible dream, although a few years ago we might not have believed it. Today we can. Nor is it a foregone conclusion that it will take place. We have a lot of work to do, but the chance is ours collectively to seize or to squander. I know that we will seize this moment, and I look forward to working with all of you to create an ever more prosperous, secure, and democratic Western Hemisphere. Thank you very much.